Hey everybody, welcome to Breakfast All Day. Christy, Alonso. The Irishman is opening Friday, November 1st in a limited theatrical run before making its way to Netflix, I guess for everybody to watch instead of talking to each other at Thanksgiving.
November 27th.
Right. But if you can see The Irishman on the big screen, you should see The Irishman on the big screen.
Yes, book your train ticket or your airfare or get in the car and fill it up with gas.
Whatever it takes. Like my friends who do the Deck the Hallmark podcast who live in South Carolina, they're going to be at Christmas Con next weekend, and they're like, oh yeah, we're landing in Brooklyn and then going we're landing at New York and going directly to Brooklyn to see The Irishman.
You have to. And it's a 3.5 hour long commitment once you are there, but it does not feel like it's 3.5 hours long. It breezes by.
Absolutely.
Do you want to describe it?
Sure. So Robert De Niro plays the title role, and
he's a real guy, by the way.
Yes. And
Frank Sheeran.
This is based on a book by Charles Brandt, and he's telling the movie in flashback. The movie opens in a nursing home with a long tracking shot down a hallway and a 1960s pop song needle drop, and it's like, okay, it's a Scorsese movie.
But then and that's good for like a warm chuckle, but it's not like self-parody.
No, it serves a purpose, though.
It does. And it's ultimately poignant. Go ahead.
Very much so. So yeah, this is a movie that is, and this is not the first movie to do this, but it is as much about it's about the gangster stuff, but it's also about age and regret and the where this life leads, and it's most often either like the early grave or the late in life, sort of like, what have I done with my life? How have my choices affected the people who should be around me and should be my loved ones?
Well, once you've outlived everybody.
Exactly.
What is the point of it all?
Yeah.
So this is a movie that is epic in scope, and it would be easy to say it's like Goodfellas but sad. But it has a lot of the same kind of beats as far as like the thrill of the machinery churning up and watching the character who is our conduit getting in deeper and deeper, and like the excitement of that, the danger and the excitement and the tension of that, and the just richly, beautifully, deeply steeped period detail as you would expect. You would expect nothing less from a Scorsese film that takes place over spanning many, many decades.
Yeah. Oh God, there's a sequence in like a Howard Johnson's in the early 70s by that point.
Are they on their road trip?
Yeah. Which I was just like, it just took me back to my childhood and going on road trips and stopping at Howard Johnson's and like, getting the box of saltwater taffy. And like, it was just all the, the ice cream parlor and and that was just like one sequence. But I mean, there's like that kind of thing throughout, like Lum's hot dogs, which I totally had growing up in the Southeast. Like, just moments like that, the period detail is exquisite.
The costume design.
But also like this movie is as brutal and as violent as it can be at moments. It's also very funny.
It is. Yes. There's a repetition to certain kinds of language, and there's like a specificity to the structure of certain conversations.
Yes.
Where on its surface, it seems like a very benign kind of back and forth, but there is an increasing tension beneath what the characters are saying to each other, which is just like beautifully executed.
Yeah, I made mention in one scene when I was talking. I reviewed this for TheWrap when it premiered at the New York Film Festival, and I made mention of the quiet menace of Joe Pesci, and a commenter was like, "What are you even talking about? Like it's loud and explosive." Like, no.
You think he is?
Think about the "Do I amuse you" scene in Goodfellas.
Right.
That is quiet tension.
Right.
That is him like slowing it down, and like you're just waiting for the eruption to happen. And there's a lot of that here where you have these moments where he's being very, calm and speaking in a very calibrated tone of voice, but you are horrified at what is lying beneath that and what could emerge from this conversation if any landmines get hit.
It's the unpredictable nature of that restraint.
Yeah,
is what's exciting. So this is basically about this guy who's this Irish truck driver who insinuates himself with the Italian mob in Philadelphia. He gets in through Bobby Cannavale is one of the people who brings him into it, and he realizes he can make some money pretty fast, and he kind of likes it. And we get just enough of a sense of who he was prior to this to make those decisions make sense.
Right.
In terms of his service during World War II and World War II,
yeah.
And just how that shaped him in like quiet and seemingly imperceptible ways that then become relevant once he has the opportunity to use those abilities again. And eventually becomes like the right-hand man to Jimmy Hoffa, played by Al Pacino. And so you have all these actors who have done really, career-defining work with Scorsese in the past, all together in one place. It is like an all-star greatest hits collection.
This
here.
is Pacino's first time
with
Scorsese.
With
right?
Is it?
I want to say yes.
Was he in Raging Bull?
No.
Okay, so it's his first. Is it, Matt? Is this the first time Pacino's been with him? Anyway,
I want to say this is Pacino's first, but
anyway, but he's of that milieu.
Yes, absolutely. No. It's kind of shocking they haven't worked together before, but yeah, they're that whole
Pesci.
'70s New Hollywood, thing. So it's always a treat. Well, except for that one middle movie they made when Pacino and De Niro get together. But yeah, no, this is extraordinary, and this is one of Pacino's best performances
for sure.
Like he is not just falling back on the stuff. This movie just is constantly fascinating. So many like people who have one scene to make an impact, and so I think when Scorsese comes calling, like everybody says yes. So you get like one scene with Jesse Plemons and a couple of scenes with Anna Paquin, and they may not have a ton to do, but they make an impact, and you remember who that character is later when it matters.
Or maybe they don't get a lot of dialogue at first, but their presence is crucial to the other characters' development. We got to talk about the de-aging, makeup, and technological wizardry here, because we have seen this so much in so many movies with really varying results, right? And here, like, it's pretty seamless. And there's also that not just like the facial change, but like the physical transformation that has to occur when a man in his 70s is having to like stand up and move around as if he's a much younger man, like decades younger man. And so it has to happen throughout the entire body. And that is a testament to these actors who've been around forever, really adjusting their craft beautifully to what the technology demands of them.
I believe that I read that De Niro and Pacino had posture coaches.
Well, they're both like their mid-70s, right?
Yeah, I think so. But like, I was really impressed because I was looking for the scenes, because I think we've seen it done pretty well in some Disney films. I finally caught up to Gemini Man after you guys reviewed it, and I think it's done quite badly there. The de-aging of Will Smith.
The young Will Smith looks like you could like stick fingers in his face, like it's made out of Play-Doh.
Totally, yeah. At least in the high frame rate, which is what I went and saw it in. But I except for like there was one sort of reverse shot where I kind of caught it being weird. For the most part, I think it is seamless, like you say. I think it's done really well. And it, could he have cast other actors? Sure, but I think having made this choice, he brings it across the finish line really well. And
it's top to bottom flawless. Technical crew. You've got Rodrigo Prieto shooting at this time, which is unusual for him, and his longtime great collaborator Thelma Schoonmaker cut it, and I want to look up who did the costumes because Sandy Powell, I want to say, was one of them. I want to say there were like two different costume designers, but we need to talk about how great Thelma Schoonmaker is for a second, because this is a movie that, again, as I said at the top, it is 3.5 hours long and does not feel like it.
And it jumps back and forth in time.
It jumps around in time. Also with the makeup, Alonso, that like with De Niro, they have to age him up and down.
Yes.
And that works every time in every direction.
A really great ensemble cast. I want to give a shout out to Stephanie Kurtzuba, who plays De Niro's second wife.
Oh, right.
I don't know that I've seen her before, or if I have, it's been very fleetingly. But again, it's like this is a role with not a ton of dialogue, but she makes a real impact, and I think she's a really fascinating presence. Even though I did spend a good chunk of the movie convinced that she was Marissa Tomei.
I thought she was Carla Buono.
There you go.
Christopher Peterson and Sandy Powell both did the costumes together. Okay. The great Sandy Powell, and again, like each era is dead on without being like cartoony. Costume party, like over the top, bell bottom polyester. It is extremely. It is sad. It's funny and tense and ultimately really poignant, like more deeply moving than I would have expected it to be.
There's a real sense of melancholy to this film, and you're right. It does sort of kind of follow the Goodfellas trajectory. But there's fewer of the highs, like literal and figurative, in this movie. There is more of a sense of tragedy to this, just in terms of what these people have sacrificed for like a quick gain or an easier path, ostensibly, and the choices that they've had to make to get to where they are. This is one of his masterpieces.
And one of the best movies of the year.
Unquestionably.
And we recently, a bunch of us at RogerEbert.com all had to put together our list of like the best 25 movies of the decade. And so I listed this among mine. And then our assignments are all going to be out next week, so you'll see what our essays are about. But this is, I think, it's Scorsese at the absolute top of his game, doing what he does best.
I'm not doing my best of the decade list until I see Cats.
It does feel incomplete, doesn't it?
Right.
I want like an asterisk next to mine.
What's the hurry? Come on.
I was rushed. I'm saying 9.8.
I said 9.5. This is great filmmaking. And again, premiering on Netflix on November 27th, but it's going to be in theaters. Not a lot of theaters. That's still a weird relationship between Netflix and exhibitors. But if you can see this on the big screen, by all means, do it.
For sure. So our number is a 9.7. Is at 98% on the tomato meter.
Wow. So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe to this video. Subscribe to this channel. Like this video. And follow us on social media at BeFastAllDay. And do check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. It's where we do the stuff that you enjoy that isn't movies, where we talk about trailers or we recap TV shows. Sometimes we look at classics when our subscribers pick one for us to do, and other fun stuff. So check that out. Patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. If you've already joined, thank you. We appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.